Welcome to something of a bonus part 2. We're in another city today. This is going to be the Grove. And the Grove is kind of special in as much as for every map in all of Guild Wars 2, this is probably the fastest one to get map completion. I mean, not counting the Order... Look at how great the tree looks there. Not counting the Order of Whispers, which is just dip inside and get 1 POI and there you go. You don't really get any great rewards for doing the Order of Whispers. The Grove is kind of a full-fledged map in a lot of respects. You don't get, like, the total reward amount you'd get from an exterior map with Renown Hearts and so on, but you can get a shot, or could, in the past, get a shot of Blackline Keys here, and even to this day you can get Transmutation Charges. So if you're a player that never goes to World versus World and never goes to PvP, and you don't ever use the gem store, come here. For what it's worth, I recommend that you do not, I emphatically recommend you do not buy Transmutation Charges on the gem store. You can map complete here because you get Transmutation Charges for opening the chests at the end of any city map comp. I don't actually think when we did Divinity's Reach earlier in the playlist, I showed off actually clicking the chest. I will on this one. But yeah, so this map, even back at launch, was a very, very quick one to do. Not because it has less objectives, or not because it's less jam-packed with content, but because it's all very condensed together. You see, if we were to open the world map and look, the Grove covers quite a large space of area, but most of it's unused, you know, all around the coastal areas, and there's this long pathway up towards the north to get to Caledon Forest. None of that is really a function of this map. It's all around the tree itself, which is very tall and goes up and down. In the original trailer for the game, you get a very different perspective of the Grove, and they even slice in some shots that make you feel like you're at the Grove, but in fact turn out to be way elsewhere in a completely different area of the game, like Mount Maelstrom and stuff, which is kind of funny. So not only was this a quick map completion at launch, nowadays with gliding, which means that full damage isn't something you're scared of anymore, and mounts, which mean you can jump at most situations from the lower levels to the higher levels and not worry about the Vista jumping puzzles. Like here, I've actually spent a long time just around this building because I couldn't figure out how to climb up to get this Vista. And still, if you look at the timestamp for this video, this is not a long video. I'm still going to complete this really quickly, even though I've spent so long faffing about here. If you're using mounts, you're not even going to be faffing about like I am here. You're going to be going all over the place. Now, to be clear, for me, because I'm not that efficient with a lot of this stuff, I am actually using some overlay software. I'm using Guild Wars Taco, which is incredible. If you guys kind of want to make the game on rails for yourselves. By the way, I thought I'd leave this cutscene in. Look at how beautiful this is. Not many of the cities or areas in the game have cool cutscenes for you to watch. This is an elevator that takes you higher up. It's a bit of a weird cutscene because you can see that your character has already teleported up and isn't actually riding anything. I guess with the old camera stuff, it would look different, maybe. It's a bit of a low quality cutscene, but I like that it's there anyway, and I appreciate these. So if you don't want to use waypoints, you know, maybe back at launch, the economy for waypoints was a little bit more prohibitive, and so you would actually choose to use these. You don't want to use waypoints. There's actually a lot of these available. I kind of wish that all the cities had great little mini cutscenes. I'm not going to show you anymore, but you can take those seed pods up and down all over the place. Oh yeah, and I crash, by the way. So this crash here, where you are in a cutscene that takes you into a map transition, that crash, that form of crash, used to hit me for years in certain personal story steps. Like, you could go through the full, like, 2-hour long slog of the final mission in the game on the airships and so on. And then, so here I accidentally glide. I'm trying not to glide or use mounts in these, and so I die. Because I jumped and I was like, oh, I'm going to glide. And then I remembered, oh, wait, I'm not meant to be gliding. And now we don't even have the waypoint available, so it's a nightmare, really. And I'm just trying to get to a different one and trying to get back on course. So yeah, no gliding, you can see. Other players might just jump down there willy-nilly and keep going for map comp, but I have to be a lot more careful about where I'm going. So yeah, you could complete the full long mission at the end of the game, or several other ones. You get the cutscene to tell you that you beat it, and guess what? It's just kicked you out of the game. That happened to me a lot. That happened to me a lot in Heart of Thorns, the first expansion as well. So luckily here we're in the open world, and it's essentially saving constantly in the open world, so you can always just jump right back on in the action. I thought I'd leave the crash in the video because it was kind of funny to me. I haven't seen that crash for years, and yet here it is again. So anyway, my technique here with all these bonus city episodes is I'm using Taco. So you guys are just getting the regular experience of the game, but what I'm looking at is like lots of routes and lines that lead me around in a nice, easy way. But here's the funny thing. those routes are made for people with mounts and gliders. So yeah, this was very easy at launch. Now that those mounts and gliders are in here, if you use an overlay, you will see just how many insane shortcuts there are. I reckon you can complete this map in about 5 minutes. Maybe a little bit longer. We're already 8 minutes into the video here, so maybe a little bit longer than that. But you can complete this map really goddamn quick. I mean, look, we're already 11 out of 19 points of interest done. And we're not using all of those tricks, like with the Springer that can jump us around, or the Sky Scale that can clamber over stuff, or any kind of glider or Griffin that can, you know, have us go across these massive, massive gaps. Just wild. Speaking about the map itself, I think for a lot of people, they really love the Grove. I enjoy it. I think it's a pretty area. It's got some nice hidden things. One of the places that's especially beautiful is in the water near us here. You can swim into a secret area with a nice golden tree. Here, we don't actually have to enter the House of Kaith. You can just run against the edge. There's also a cool, like, Nightmare Court-y prison area that map completion doesn't take you to, and I think a lot of people kind of miss out on. It's nice to have a city with a good bit of swimming, too. When you see the Ratassoum bonus city episode, you'll see a lot of that as well. So it's a cool map. But mostly I'm interested in it for the lore. So, like, for example, down here at the bottom, we've got all these houses. That was the House of Kehedins, there's the House of Malamides and Niam and so on. Those are the Sylvari Firstborn. And you can kind of... And Kate's house is actually kind of different. Not all of them are still here at the Grove, but you can visit all of them. Obviously, in your personal story, you can choose what cycle you belong to, and that kind of gives you, like, a luminary, one in particular that you care a lot about. But really, you don't have to go into those buildings except here for map comp. So here, and the House of Rhiannoch is right here where we live. Oh, how cool is that? It's so badass. So you see something really weird here. This playlist is about open world, not the story. And yeah, here we are. We're actually in a story instance doing open world right now. Because I am a Sylvari at the very beginning of the game. And so it just so happened that when I went to enter my home instance here, I ended up triggering the story step. And it had that little bramble wall that I had to jump over. It was very, very peculiar. All I really needed to enter for was that one POI behind the bramble wall, which it turned out I could jump over. So that's fine. The fact that you can jump over that bramble wall says everything about launch Guild Wars 2, by the way, and why dungeons were as broken as they were and so on. The devs vastly underestimated how capable people would be to climb over the tiny, like, knee-high obstacles that they put around. And, you know, the amount of sequence breaks that were there was just insane. And I know that sounds crazy, but you've got to remember, Guild Wars 1 never had jumping. They never really had to design any content or really get good at thinking about world spaces with people being able to climb in the same way that they can now, especially with mounts and stuff. They're obviously much more adept at it these days. But yeah, that was a funny little thing for me. That there wasn't a full-on invisible wall. You could genuinely just jump over it. Quite nice. Very humble beginnings, really. So yeah, because I can't glide and stuff, the overlay that I was trying to follow... By the way, the particular overlay I'm using for Taco is Tekkit. Tekkit does some amazing stuff. I recommend you guys check out his YouTube channel. He is the most talented person on this scene. I've said it many times before. There's no question. No one else even comes close to that guy. And he's done amazing resources to help noobs and people like me out. That, you know, we're just lazy and we like to get through certain things in the game. Of course, I'm not going to have the overlay on screen for you guys. I want you to see the real world. So yeah, what else is there to say, really? Well, the main area of commerce and exploration is here in this middle floor, where you've got the banks and the TP. You can drop down to the crafting places. I have a lot of memories of breaking out of this map. Many different routes to get out. I've done actually several videos over the years on different breakouts for this map, because this is such an exciting one to break out of, because there's so much territory around it that's just not actually being used for normal content. That's our last POI, the Centaur's Path. And in fact, the personal story area to the top, well, not just personal story, the instance high up with the Pale Tree and the Ventari tablet we saw earlier in the video. If you break out in the right way, you can actually climb up there too and find some NPCs that in theory you should never be able to access. Nowadays with mounts you can just climb up there, but they were always very special. And so is this place, which is the end of our map comp. Look at how quick this was, guys. Almost doesn't deserve to be on this playlist, does it? We're only 13 minutes in. But yeah, look at this cool house here. Super out of the way. You have to drop down from above. Love it. Also, by the way, most of these cities did get an update that allows you to sit in a lot of the chairs. There's a bar on this map filled with ambient dialogue, well worth checking out. Spent a lot of time in the personal store, I remember hanging out there. So yeah, the Grove. Very cool, quick little open world map, easy comp. I'd love to read some of your memories and stuff in the comments. We didn't really get to talk about much in the video here, so you guys can add to the content. I'll be down there and love to see what you guys have to say. And until the next one, see you soon.